Well, the reason we call it character in designing the purposeful organization and in our prime focus model, it did used to be called culture. And then we started to realize, because we were mainly aiming this at organizations, teams, and we do talk about the culture of an organization, the culture of a team. But the closer we get to the individual, the word culture doesn't play out. You know, if I said, Sarah, what's your culture? It's a dumb question, wouldn't make sense. But I could ask about your character, you know, what it is that's important to you, the way you behave and so on. So after a lot of consideration, we changed the word to character, because equally you can also talk about the character of an organization and people know that you're talking effectively about the culture. And it's not that we don't use the word culture, it's just that character works at every level, and we wanted the framework and the book to be able to relate to every level of corporate life. We spend a lot of time here at Prime East working with organizations, first of all, to measure the cultures that they already have, but also to measure the cultures that they need specifically, in my view, to deliver on their purpose and vision. And there is a tendency, if this isn't understood, to think that what we really need to do here is create clones of the organization. In other words, if I'm to work here, then I've got to have the company's values, you know, written through my arm, and those are my values. Well, life doesn't work like that. And we also know the value of diversity and inclusion and having a diverse range of people working with us and working for them and so on. So culture is a really interesting topic. And at the same time, there is a best culture for any organization. Guess what? It's driven by the purpose and vision that you're trying to create. In fact, you can have two organizations with the same purpose, a different vision, and they would need different cultures in order to deliver it. So, for example, if one organization was trying to get from A to B in 2 years, and another organization was happy to do it in 10, you can imagine that the cultures required for one versus the other could be quite different. So a structure and process is about how we deliver the work efficiently through the structures that we have in place. Then the same can be said about character. It's about how is the way we are working together going to deliver on this purpose and vision. And there will be a best way, given who we are, given the purpose and the vision that we have, for us to work together. And just as we talked about with engagement to define purpose and vision, so we can also do that with culture. And again, going back over the years, I remember the days where organizations would probably employ somebody in marketing to work with them to define the values. We're going to define how they would work together going forward, and then tell people. In fact, I can remember one client asking me to run a workshop to devolve the values to the whole organization. And I said, I'm not going to do it because it won't work. You cannot tell people how they will behave. I said, the nearest you're going to get is to tell them the values that you've shared as a leadership team and ask them to work out what those words meant to them in terms of behaviors. And that was a really interesting project because we found out that the same value in sales was very different, for example, to that value being played out in engineering. And that was absolutely fascinating. But these days we have metric, the Barrett Values Center set of tools that we use for measuring and managing culture actually allows us to find out what's important to everybody that works within and alongside an organization so that the culture can be diagnosed rather than prescripted by some external force or even the board of directors.